At my own birthday dinner, my mom announced to the entire table that I should sell my house and hand the money to my sister's baby fund. My cousins cheered, my dad smiled, and my sister wiped fake tears until I raised my glass, pulled out my phone, and read a bank notification that made every fork drop onto their plates that I turned 34 this year. It wasn't a milestone birthday, but my mom insisted we have a proper family gathering at the house. She said it would be a chance to get everyone together to celebrate how far I've come. I should have noticed the tone in her voice when she said that. Family dynamics in my household have always been skewed. I'm the eldest of two. My sister, Marissa, is 3 years younger. Growing up, I was the responsible one. Good grades, steady jobs, the one who made sure bills were paid when my parents struggled. Marissa was the dreamer. That's the polite word my mom always used. Others called her selfish, flighty, or just plain manipulative. The truth is, she's always had a way of bending the room around her. She cried, people gave in. She sulked, people soothed. She smiled, and suddenly everyone excused her mistakes. Meanwhile, I learned to survive by staying quiet, working hard, and not needing much from anyone. Fast forward, I bought a modest house last year. Nothing flashy, just a two-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood. I was proud of it. It was mine, paid for through years of saving, side hustles, and careful planning. Marissa, on the other hand, had recently announced her pregnancy. The father wasn't in the picture. By the time she was 4 months along, she was already asking the family for help, baby supplies, rent, car repairs. My parents swooped in like she was royalty. I offered what I could at the time, a stroller, some groceries. But I wasn't about to bankroll her entire life. Still, I didn't expect what happened at my own birthday dinner. The dining room was packed. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone had gathered around the long oak table. Plates of roast chicken and mashed potatoes steamed in front of us. Laughter and chatter filled the air, and for a moment, I thought maybe this would be a normal celebration. Then Mom stood up. She clinked her fork against her glass until the room fell silent. I remember looking up, smiling faintly, thinking she was going to make a sweet toast. Instead, she cleared her throat and said, loud enough for every single person to hear, "We all agree it's time you did something meaningful with your success. Your sister needs stability for her baby, and we think the right thing to do would be to sell your house and give the money to her baby fund." I froze. At first, I thought I misheard. Sell my house. Give her the money? But before I could respond, the room erupted. My cousins actually cheered. One of them shouted, "Yes, that's fair." My dad nodded approvingly, like this was some noble gesture. And Marissa, pressed a tissue to her dry eyes and whispered, "Thank you, everyone. This means so much." I felt like the ground had tilted. This wasn't just a suggestion, it was a public ambush. And then it hit me. They expected me to just nod, smile, and agree. They thought cornering me in front of everyone would make it impossible to say no. Instead, I raised my glass, calm as I could, and pulled my phone from my pocket. "Actually," I said, my voice steady, "there's something I'd like to share too." I opened my banking app, scrolled to a bookmarked notification, and read aloud. "Your request to transfer mortgage payoff funds has been successfully processed. As of today, your home loan balance is zero. Title documents will be mailed within 7 business days." The room went silent. Dead silent. Forks clattered onto plates. Even the baby cousins stopped making noise. I looked around at the stunned faces. "So, Mom, Dad, Marissa, let me get this straight. You want me to sell the first home I've ever owned outright, the home I've worked a decade to afford, so that my sister, who has no job, no plan, and no partner, can burn through it in a year? Is that what you're asking me?" No one said a word. I smiled, took a sip of wine, and added, "Good to know where everyone stands." That was the night I realized the depth of their entitlement. And it was also the night I decided to stop pretending we were a normal family. The silence at that dinner table still echoes in my head. After I read that bank message, I could feel the room shifting, like the air had been sucked out. It wasn't pride I felt. It wasn't even anger. It was clarity, a sharp and steady line drawn in real time. My mom was the first to break the silence. That's wonderful, honey," she stammered, forcing a smile. "But you don't need a whole house to yourself. Your sister's about to bring life into this world. You'll have other opportunities to buy again later." I set my glass down. Mom, I didn't buy a house so I could flip it like stock. I bought it because it's my home. Mine, not a charity fund. Marissa sniffled. You don't understand. Babies are expensive. I don't have anyone else. I almost laughed. You have all of them. I gestured around the table. You have mom, dad, every cousin here cheering for you. You're surrounded by people willing to sacrifice someone else's work for your comfort. What you don't have is accountability. That's not something money will fix. Her face twisted. You're heartless. No, I said quietly. I'm just done being used. My dad cleared his throat. Son, that's your sister. Family means sacrifice. I leaned back. Funny, Dad. I don't recall Marissa sacrificing anything for me. Ever. When I was working 2 jobs in college, who helped me? When I skipped vacations to save for my down payment, who offered to pitch in? Nobody. But now that I have something, suddenly it's community property. A murmur ran around the table. Some cousins avoided my eyes. Others looked downright uncomfortable. But not a single one spoke up for me. I excused myself before dessert, walked out into the cold night air, pulled my coat tighter, and realized my birthday wasn't a celebration. It was a setup. The days after were exhausting. The calls started immediately. Mom left a voicemail the next morning. You embarrassed us. Everyone was just trying to help Marissa, and you made it about you. Dad texted, think about the bigger picture. She's family. You can always rebuild. Marissa, predictably, sent a barrage of messages. You've always been jealous of me. This is just you punishing me because people love me more. I hope you enjoy your empty house while I struggle with a baby. The manipulation was textbook. What they didn't expect was that I didn't bite. I kept receipts, screenshots of every message. I started documenting the pattern because I realized this wasn't just about money. This was about control. The real twist came 3 days later. I got a call from my aunt, one of the few family members I actually liked. She sounded nervous. Listen, I thought you should know. After you left, Marissa told everyone you'd already promised to sell the house. She said you backed out at the last second just to humiliate her. My stomach sank. What? Yeah. And your parents backed her up. They said you'd agreed in principle, and that the bank message was just you being petty. People are saying you're greedy, selfish, that you don't care about family. I went cold. So they're not just entitled. They're lying about me. My aunt hesitated. I believe you. I know you wouldn't do that. But you should know the story's spreading. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, pulling up documents, mortgage statements, payoff receipts, even the timestamp of the bank notification. I put everything into a single PDF labeled House Ownership Proof. Not because I owed them an explanation, but because I knew lies spread fast and evidence shuts them down faster. The next family group chat blew up 2 days later. Marissa posted, it just hurts that my own brother would rather hoard a house than make sure his nephew is safe. Everyone knows he promised me. I didn't reply with words. I uploaded the PDF. Every page. Every bank confirmation. Every receipt. Then I typed, this is the truth. Anything else you've heard is a lie. End of discussion. The chat went quiet. For hours. Then, one cousin messaged privately, damn. I didn't know. She made it sound different. Another, she's been telling everyone you're heartless. But this makes sense now. It wasn't vindication, it was damage control. And I realized, sitting there, that my family had no problem rewriting history if it suited Marissa's narrative. By the end of the week, I made my decision. No more family financing. No more help. That was really exploitation. No more invitations to dinners that doubled as traps. I blocked Marissa's number. I muted the group chat. I stopped answering my parents' calls. For the first time in years, my house felt like a fortress. Not because it was big or fancy, but because it was safe. Mine. The hardest part wasn't the drama. It was the grief. Because as angry as I was, there was a small part of me that still hoped my family would choose me, not my bank account. That maybe, just maybe, someone would stand up at that table and say, this isn't right. But they didn't. And that silence was louder than any insult. So I raised my own silence in return. That was just the beginning. Because a month later, Marissa showed up at my front door with a stroller and a new scheme. Update 1. It was a Sunday morning. Quiet. I was in sweatpants, coffee in hand, scrolling through emails. The knock came sharp, urgent, like someone trying to break down a barrier rather than visit politely. When I opened the door, there she was. Marissa, hair a little messy, makeup smudged, A stroller parked right in front of my porch like it was some kind of exhibit. She didn't even say hello. She just pushed the stroller forward an inch and said, "Meet your nephew." I looked down. The baby was sleeping, wrapped in a soft blanket. Innocent. Perfect. Blameless. But the stunt? The timing? That wasn't innocent at all. I kept my hand on the doorframe. "Hello, Marissa." She sighed dramatically. "I can't believe it's come to this. You're really going to watch your own blood struggle while you sit comfortable in this fortress." She gestured at the house like it was a crime scene. "I already told you," I said flatly. "This is my home. I'm not selling it." Her eyes narrowed. "You can't be serious. Look at him." She pulled the blanket back a little, like the sight of her baby was supposed to unlock some hidden vault of guilt inside me. "He needs stability. A future. You're denying him that." I clenched my jaw. "Don't use him as a pawn." Her voice cracked into a scream so fast it made me flinch. "You selfish bastard. You don't get it, do you? Everyone in this family agrees. You should be helping us. This isn't about me, it's about him." Behind her, across the street, I saw curtains shift. Neighbors. Watching. Oh, so this was another performance. "Marissa," I said, lowering my voice, "you need to leave." She shoved the stroller forward another inch. "No, I'm not leaving until you do the right thing." For a split second, I imagined the headline. "Man slams door in sister's face, leaves baby in the cold." That's exactly the picture she wanted painted. A trap. Again. So instead, I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. Calm. Controlled. "You think if you embarrass me enough, I'll cave," I said. "That if you put me on display, I'll bend." She smirked. "It's working. Everyone's already talking." That's when I pulled out my phone, tapped record, and held it up. "Say that again." The color drained from her face. "Go ahead," I said evenly. "Say that you're using your child as leverage. That you brought him here as a prop to shame me. Say it on camera." She froze, lips pressed tight. The baby stirred, made a soft sound, then went back to sleep. The contrast between his peaceful face and her venom was almost surreal. Finally, she hissed, "You're disgusting." She grabbed the stroller and stormed off down the walkway, nearly clipping her own wheel on the curb. I stopped recording but saved the video immediately. That night, my phone buzzed with texts from Mom. "How could you treat your sister that way? She came to you for help. We raised you better than this. You're cold, heartless. If you won't support your own nephew, don't expect us at Christmas." Then Dad chimed in. "Son, you're escalating. Stop recording your family like enemies. This isn't healthy." I didn't reply. Instead, I sent them both the video. Just 30 seconds. Just enough. The typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared. Neither of them responded after that. The next week was quiet. Too quiet. Until I went to the grocery store and overheard two women whispering in the produce aisle. "He bought that big house and won't even help his sister. Poor girl, all alone with a baby." I turned the corner and they froze. One of them worked with Marissa at her old job. So that's where the rumors were spreading now. Into the community, into the gossip chain. By the time I got home, my hands were shaking. Not with fear, with anger. This wasn't family drama anymore. This was reputation warfare. That night, I sat at my desk and drafted an email. Not to Marissa, not to my parents. To a lawyer. I explained the situation. The entitlement. The harassment. The false rumors. The attempt at public shaming. His reply came fast. "You're right to be concerned. Start keeping every message, every recording, every witness account. If she escalates, we'll have grounds for a restraining order. As for defamation, that's harder, but keep documenting. Truth is your strongest defense." I exhaled. Relief. A plan. Days turned into weeks. The text slowed down, though I'd catch whispers online. Vague posts from Marissa about selfish brothers and family betrayal. But I didn't engage. Until the envelope arrived. Plain, unmarked, slipped into my mailbox. Inside, a printed note. "Sell the house. Be a man. Take care of family." No signature. My stomach dropped. Because now it wasn't just her. It was others. Extended family? Friends? Neighbors? I didn't know. But I knew one thing. This wasn't going away quietly. That night, I sat in my living room, staring at the walls I'd fought so hard to own. I thought about the sacrifices, the late nights, the missed vacations, the grind it took to make this place mine. And I thought about my sister, my parents, my so-called family. And I realized they don't want my home. They want control. And as long as I hold the deed, they can't have it. So maybe it was time to stop playing defense. Final update. The day I decided to go on offense started like any other. I was drinking coffee, scrolling through emails, when another message popped up from an unknown address. This one wasn't just words. It was a photo, a picture of my house, taken from the street. Printed note underneath, TikTok. Don't make us push harder. I stared at it for a long time. My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth would crack. This wasn't just family entitlement anymore. It was intimidation. So I called my lawyer. He didn't mince words. This is harassment. Document everything. And stop handling this on your own. I'll draft a cease and desist letter, not just for your sister, but for your parents too. If it continues, we move to court. Restraining order, defamation suit, whatever it takes. For the first time in months, I felt steady, not cornered, not reactive, in control. When the letter was delivered, the explosion was immediate. Mom called me sobbing. How could you do this to your own family? We're not enemies. We're your blood. Dad texted, this is embarrassing. Neighbors know. You've gone too far. Marissa left me a voicemail that started calm and ended in a shriek. You're ruining your nephew's life. Do you understand that? You're choosing a pile of bricks over flesh and blood. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I kept forwarding everything to my lawyer. Each voicemail, each text, each vague threat. My digital shield. But here's the part one didn't expect. Silence. After the letter, the noise died down. No more late-night knocks. No more anonymous notes. No more whispers in the grocery store. For the first time in months, I had peace. Until Thanksgiving. I wasn't planning on going. But then, out of the blue, Dad called me 2 days before. His voice was calm, almost rehearsed. Son, it's time we sit down. Face to face. No lawyers. Just family. Come to dinner. Against my better judgment, I agreed. The night of, I drove over with a tight chest. The second I stepped into their house, I knew it was a setup. Every chair was filled. Cousins, aunts, even a couple of old family friends. All of them staring at me like I was on trial. Mom started before I could sit down. We're here tonight to put an end to this nonsense. Your sister has been struggling. You have more than you need. And we all agree, this should have never gone this far. Then she slid a folder across the table. Inside, papers. An agreement. For me to voluntarily transfer ownership of my home into a family trust for the benefit of Marissa and her child. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I looked around the table. All those familiar faces, waiting for me to fold. Then I pulled out my phone, placed it face up on the table, and pressed record. I'm going to make this simple, I said. My voice was calm, steady. This ends tonight. You've harassed me. You've threatened me. You've tried to guilt and manipulate me into giving up what I worked for. And now you're trying to coerce me, in front of witnesses, into signing away my home. Murmurs around the table. A couple people shifted uncomfortably. I leaned forward. Let me be perfectly clear. I'm not signing a damn thing. Not now, not ever. This house is mine. Bought with my money, my work, my sacrifice. And if any of you push this again, I will not hesitate to take it further legally. Do you understand? The silence was suffocating. Marissa's face turned red. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Mom looked like she'd swallowed glass. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. Finally, I stood. Enjoy your dinner. And I walked out. 2 days later, I mailed them each a copy of the recording with a note attached. Don't test me again. That was 6 months ago. Since then, my life has been quiet. Peaceful. I cut contact with all of them. Blocked their numbers, muted their social media. Christmas came and went with no calls, no texts. My birthday passed in silence. Do I miss them? Sometimes. Blood ties are hard to sever cleanly. But then I remember the way they looked at me across that table, like I was a prize to be claimed, not a son or a brother. And I know I made the right choice. Last week, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. From Marissa. It wasn't an apology. Not exactly. She wrote about how hard things have been, how she regrets how far things went, how she just wanted help. She didn't mention the baby this time. She didn't mention the house. She just asked if I'd be open to talking again. I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and put it in a drawer. Because here's the truth. I don't owe them anything. Not my house. Not my money. Not my peace. Maybe one day, I'll open that drawer and call her. But for now, I'm finally living in the home I built. Alone, yes, but free. And that's worth more than family approval ever was.